Well, good morning. Hello. Welcome. Welcome again to this thing of ours. Welcome back to the Grandstream, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to have your company on this start of what could be a very pivotal week. One among many, probably, I hear you say, one among many, but this another important week coming up ahead of us. Lots to come ahead in the week ahead as we wait for the room to fill up. Welcome, my friends. Great to see you. Delighted you could join me. Sunny southeast joining us. Good morning. And Silmiata, very pleasant. Good morning, Jerry. Millie Carlin jumping in and saying hello. A couple of news articles to touch in with you this morning. As always, a couple of things that brought to my attention. As we can see, a narrative shift and a narrative change. Events over the weekend. Well, as I say, one or two articles. Going to finish off with a report from our good friend of events happening here over the weekend. Protests happening throughout the region, throughout the world, anti-lockdown measurements from all over. Great to see you, John. Thank you for joining me. And our good friend Stargirl D from California, as the room fills up, as all the great patriots join us live this morning. You can join us live via Twitch, D Live, and Periscope. For the meantime, till we are let out of Facebook jail, we will be able to have the more live chat interaction in the mornings. I hope you had a very pleasant and restful weekend as much as possible. The madness continues as this pantomime story, this overreaching narrative is forced down upon us. It's depressing in Manchester this morning from our good friend John, and quite an overcast day here in the Republic of Ireland as well. John, you are not alone. You are not alone. Oh God, he's off singing again. Good morning, Alel Pepe. El Pepe, a little bit of cake in the audience. Like I said, you have one or two articles that we want to touch in and just read through this morning. In the UK, the Independent reporting that the UK must do more to tackle the vaccine hesitancy. And a report warns that more than a third of people say they may not accept the jabs. Also, I have a piece from the Independent on another group of professionals here in the Republic of Ireland. A group of GPs and other medical professionals are calling for the end of the lockdown and questioning Mhaith's health advice, are demanding an urgent meeting with the government. And focusing on all things United States, just a little bit. If we have an Irish connection to the Dominion technology, I have an article to bring to your attention there. As creditors are given the green light for the sale of Cytal to the Irish Paragon. Cytal, you'll know if you've been paying attention, is part of the Dominion software package that is being rolled forward as the Kraken, the centerpiece to Sidney Pell's prosecution and litigation of the electoral voter count over in the United States. And then I thought we'd finish off with our good friend Jean. Indeed, I don't know if that's from Europe, your angle over there in the United Kingdom, Michael John Dennis. Our Labour here are trying to bypass the 24th Amendment by those who born here or belong here. Campaign started up to pressurise people, the Irish citizens, even though we voted unanimously, some 80%, to not accept birthright citizenship. But it seems our Labour over here, Michael John Dennis, are trying, as always, to subvert the Constitution and the democratic will of the people by coming up with these new legislations and new statutes to bypass a referendum. If you want to change it, have another referendum. Let's see how that goes. That's what I'd say. Okay, folks, let's jump over to the first of this morning's articles in relation to the people's hesitancy to get the jab over in the United Kingdom. This from our good friends at the Telegraph. Not our good friends at all. Slight joke. The UK must do more to tackle vaccine hesitancy, reports warn, as more than a third of people say they may not accept the jabs. More than a third of Britons are either uncertain or unlikely to accept a vaccination against Ho-19, report has warned. Experts have called for an open dialogue to be had with the public to address fears about vaccine safety and counter misinformation surrounding vaccinations. The report published today by the British Academy and the Royal Society for the SETC, Science in Emergencies Tasking HOHE-19 group, says an 80% take-up of a coronavirus injection could be necessary to protect the community. Could be, should be, coulda, woulda, died with, possibly died of. More use of nebulous language. The authors of the report also said that there's an urgent need to clarify to the public that, quote, life will not immediately return to normal. Adding that, quote, non-pharmaceutical interventions such as wearing face masks and social distancing will remain in place during a vaccine deployment period. Indeed, we have Fauci now coming out on various newspaper entities or media entities saying that masks and vaccines will be for life and social distancing will be here for life, is now what they're trying to say. Smacks of desperation to me. Smacks of desperation. Quote, the article continues, transparent dialogue and community engagement with the general public about vaccine deployment must begin immediately, respecting emotions and real concerns as opposed to a one-way information supply, it urged. Oh, you think? The report also showed that the recent levels of seasonal flu vaccinations can be low among healthcare support staff, 37%, and doctors, 40% in regions such as London. Professor Melinda Mills, director of the Leverhulme Centre for Demographic Science at the University of Oxford and lead author of the report, said, quote, vaccines and vaccinations are two very different things. To achieve the estimated 80% of the uptake of the vaccine required for community protection, oh no, community protection is another word for herd immunity. And we have our natural immune system that provides us with that herd immunity. But now the doctors and the science tells us that we have to have a rollout of vaccination and we'll have to get boosters every 6 months. Who needs an immune system? That's just a conspiracy theory, darling. We don't use those anymore. There needs to be a frank discussion with the public about just how long it will take that things will not immediately go back to normal when vaccines arrive. We must learn from lessons of history and move away from the one-way provision of information and instead generate an open dialogue that addresses misinformation and does not dismiss people's real vaccine concerns and hesitancy. Quote, and critically, when the time comes, we need to make vaccination itself convenient, she added. It's convenient. It's for your safety and it's for your convenience. This will be some edifice in the United Kingdom telling us this, Stargirl. It also suggested implementing a decentralized local vaccination program with toolkits to support local authorities with community engagement, such as a program would have to include tailored messaging in multiple languages to reach diverse populations and mobilize local communities. The government should also counter misinformation and fill real knowledge voids by empowering the public to spot and report misinformation. You can see where this is heading, folks. The author cited several main vaccine and HOHE-19 conspiracy theories responsible for spreading misinformation and uncertainty among members of the public. Among the myths are the belief that coronavirus is a hoax and therefore needs no vaccine, that Bill Gates is involved in a vaccination plan to implant microchips into people, that big pharma and scientists will use HOHE-19 vaccinations to make money, and the conspiracy theory that HOHE-19 is caused by QG mobile phone towers. I can't really disagree with any of that summation at the end of that article. We already know that there is a microdot that will be rolled out with the vaccinations that will then be used to scan you without intrusion, they say. But you won't even know that they're intruding because it'll just be done from a scan on a mobile app. Again, we are aware that Ticketmaster and other entities are trying to promote the plot that you can return to normal and that we can have go back to live shows when you produce your vaccine passport, should you wish to attend any of these open-air concerts and rub shoulder to shoulder with the other virus-ridden ecosystems of your fellow human beings, all to make it very sterile and separating the herd, as they would say. Over on to our second article and reporting back here from the Republic of Ireland. It seems a group of doctors A group of GPs and other medical professionals who are calling for an end to the lockdown and questioning Mhaith's health advice are demanding an urgent meeting with the government. A group consisting of mainly GPs, including former Fianna Fáil Minister Jim McDaid and the Mater Hospital's infectious disease expert, Professor Jack Lambert, has signed a, quote, white paper questioning what it calls Ireland's outdated public health strategies in response to HOHE-19. Many of the signatories are part of a newly formed group named COVID Recovery, a scientific approach that includes 67 doctors and some 100 scientists. Cavan-based GP Michael McConville is a member of the group and was involved in the deployment of its white paper. His daughter, who lost her job during COVID-19, has set up a GoFundMe page for the group. It has raised over 9,000, which is to be used for her employment within the organisation. Dr. McConville, who argued the vast majority of its supporters have no background in epidemiology, claimed Mhaith should be, quote, disbanded. We are now seeking an urgent meeting with the government to tell them that they need to disband Mhaith. The government needs to widen itself to a wider discipline of experts, he told this newspaper. If Mhaith went away, a disaster would not take place. Why hasn't everyone working in supermarkets got sick? They are dealing with the great unwashed in their thousands every day. These workers have not got COVID in their droves, so it's perfectly reasonable to assume that the same would happen in the general population. Dr. McConville insisted Mhaith's focus is too narrow and the government should consider other experts, including engineers, mathematicians, and statisticians, to interpret COVID data. Dr. McConville maintained that the lockdown have, quote, no effect on mortality rates, and attempts to stop infection rates are futile and is like, quote, trying to stop the tide. He also added that he was, quote, gravely concerned for the overall health of his patients who currently cannot access critical screening and treatments because of HOHE-19. In its white paper, the group suggests we should end lockdowns and begin intensive protection of the vulnerable. The group also claims that the, quote, enormous and disproportionate cost of lockdowns grows worse by the day. A fixation on the virus has led to, quote, the worst cost benefit of a public health intervention in living memory. The group claims with lockdown significantly undermining elements of public health and increasing the gap between rich and poor. The paper proposes the safe reopening of colleges, the hospitality industry, and allowing foreign travel. The group also calls for an end to the daily government briefings on case numbers and the re-establishment of balance in the media in terms of healthy scientific debate. Professor Lambert is the most high-profile of the signatories to the group's white paper, and he has been an outspoken critic of lockdowns and the government's approach to tackling disease for several months. Again, another group, and more and more groups, and many eminent professors, scientists, doctors, mathematicians, and engineers, all in the brace, getting behind the wheel to try and turn this slow ship of destruction around. I concur, I conclude, I agree, sunny southeast, absolutely. Also calls to reopen churches as more Catholics around many European regions pray outside government buildings and their own churches to call for the reintroduction of masses. Because not all religions are equal, only the Christians can be denied access to their places of worship. Everybody else, you crack on because you are given priority treatment. We come over to this last one here as well. I want to sort of bring attention back to what's happening in the United States. We're in for a very roller coaster ride, I'd say, with the election. But saying that, there will be no formal conclusion till December the 14th. We're going to have numerous litigations and presentations of evidence of mass voter fraud, even though mainstream says there is no clear corroborating evidence of voter fraud. Clearly, you know they are lying to you. I read you numerous reports and litigations that are going on in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia for recounts, and even the most banal of litigations will be occurring. But that is to say that there is voter fraud, but yet again, mainstream gaslighting its viewing public, and it's saying that the unofficial coronation of Beijing Biden is official, and you better just damn well accept it, because he is our candidate and we have chosen him, and you cannot be chosen by you, the people. Ha, democracy be damned. Like I say, I'll bring you into this this article here just goes to show the overreachment, or the how will I say, the complicity of our bad actors here in the global deep state, the global rollout of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum. Stakeholder capitalism is another way to find it, or the New World Agenda, or Agenda 21, as other people have called it. This is just repackaging of Agenda 2030, and they are trying to insert it in now during this medical emergency to bring in the tyrannical Great Reset as they've repackaged it up. But creditors given the green light to the sale of Cytel to the Irish Paragon. The bankruptcy of the Catalan electronic voting company Cytel is approaching its outcome. The Irish group Paragon will take control of the technology company after months of negotiations with the bank to find a solution to its liquidation, according to Eire, from sources close to the operation. Yesterday was the deadline the judge had given the creditors to reach an agreement on Paragon's proposal, which, so as he advanced, the Vanguard was the only offer in this phase. Cytel was dragging a debt of 75 million euros, of which creditors will end up collecting only 3 in return for the brands and licenses that will remain the buyer, said same voices. The Irish group, which bought 80% of Service Point in 2015, offers to collect a sum of 3 deferred payments in 2021, 22 and 23. The other option would be to collect compensation in Service Point shares. The bankruptcy of Cytel attracted 5 banks: Sabadell, Santander, BBVA, Bank Quinter and Deutsche Bank, and a public financial institution, the Catalan Institute of Finance, which had lent funds to the company. According to this newspaper, the largest creditors have given the green light to the Irish offer, and in these cases, it is common for the least exposed entities to follow the recommendation of those who are more exposed. The electronic voting platform had managed to renegotiate the debt with the bank on a previous occasion, but the insufficient income and losses it accumulated have not allowed it to have a second chance. Consulted yesterday by the Eire, Cytel did not make assessments to the on the end point of this process. Its future buyer intends to give continuity to the company and therefore maintain the 100 employees who still work in the Barcelona offices, subsidiaries in the US, Canada and France. Paragon is an Irish communications group with a turnover of almost 1 billion euros last year and has a division dedicated to the identification service, to which could be added to the encryption software that Cytel uses for electronic voting processes. I wonder, would that technology and that software now be tried to be inserted over here, even though it is clearly proven to be more than just a glitch in the American elections? We shall see how that rolls on. However, this sale is before and after in the management of the company. One of the external promises of the Catalan technological ecosystem, Cytel, was born in 2001 as a spin-off of the Autonomous University of Barcelona. Despite having managed to face the giant of the sector in Spain, Indra, Cytel stumbled upon the business of elections in developing countries. After some attempts to find new revenue in the elections for the private sector and make some changes at the top, Cytel filed for bankruptcy in late 2019. It has since conspired to find an investor. A conspiracy, you say? It conspired to save the initial project. First offer stopped. When he applied for liquidation from the judge, Cytel proposed that whoever bought his assets, the company has valuable software and a skilled workforce by the American fund Santum Capital. However, the judge considered that the Catalan company was forcing the sale to be this specific firm and asked that a competitive process be opened to assess whether there were better offers. That's how Paragon's proposal came about, which improved Santon's offering. So it seems that the obfuscation of the origination of the company Cytel, which, like I said to you, has been used in many jurisdictions and been used throughout the election process in the United Kingdom, and has come in for heavy criticism for its software glitches and the reappropriation of some hundreds, nay, millions of votes from President Trump to Beijing Biden. Again, we're all off at the races today. We look towards the United States later on today for any new drops of information or any new processes that are going, as the election 2020 is still continuing, and we do not have a a president-elect. We have a projected winner from the mainstream media, but again, they don't officially declare who the president of the United States is. I do believe we are going to court. Bring your hankies, Liberals, bring your hankies, because ultimately this will be decided in the House of Representatives. And that is not to say, that President Trump will be the unified leader, but the odds on are looking very favorable. As I said to you, the House of Representatives is held by some 37 Republican states, and it is states who are given individual votes. I cannot reiterate this enough for you. We're going to go through the 12th Amendment of the Constitution, where each state in the House of Representatives, not each individual representative. I know you're saying there's some 470 representatives in the House of Representatives, but only each state gets one vote. And that is where 37 of these states are held by Republicans. And that's where I believe that the election of the President Trump will take place. But again, all other reasons are trying to promote that Beijing Biden is the unified and legal president-elect. This is not true. They are gaslighting you yet again. And we'll finish up on this article, and then I'll just have one or two quick words I want to pass on to you there. Don't forget, you can join us over on Twitter, Ron W. Croft. Also, Instagram, Grand_Torino_Ireland. Facebook, we have Ron Croft GT. If you want to come over there and join over the Crazy Gang when we're released from Facebook, Jeb. Also, the YouTube, as you know yourself here, Grand Torino. And also on Twitch, Grand_Torino_Ireland. Come over and join us as we continue on. Some would say this folly, but I would say this journey. And has not even elected stage yet. Absolutely, the election is still continuing in one of the most unprecedented electoral campaigns in human history. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Excuse me. One or two quick announcements as we come up to the last of this article, and I want to finish off with Jean's article, Operation Christmas. Hancock is being arrested today. I've yet to see that, Susan. I will very much look forward to seeing that. I want to see if any of the common law applications will have any effect, and will they pay attention? So we will keep our eye on it. We will keep our attention on it. Hopefully, the common law practitioners will get some result back from us. Another avenue to explore. Just a quick note: today will be the last broadcast for possibly till next week. I'm stepping back for a week. I did mention to you late last week I have some procedures coming up that I want to take care of. So to this morning's broadcast will be the one and only for this week, and I'll be stepping off unless something extraordinary happens. But like I said, I've got to take care of some personal business in the background. So we will be joining back with you again next Monday, where we will start up hopefully next Monday. Should recovery go well, but I'll keep you up to abreast. I'll keep you up to date via Twitter. So our concluding article for this morning, Operation Christmas, from our good friend Jean Murray. She starts and she writes, despite our lives as we know it being annihilated since March 2020 and all joyous family events cancelled by corrupt governments from all over the world, these evil people did not take into account the Irish mammy and their love for Christmas. Yes, the globalists may have successfully implemented their plan with the advertising and hypnotic information of a deadly disease through all mainstream media platforms. But the closure of our churches from the outset of Ireland's lockdown was the first clue for me and many others that God wasn't running this show, because God's house offers comfort for the sick, companionship and love. And so this was a major slip up from these evil people. And they may have underestimated the faith of the Irish people, and it will be to their detriment. Some of the Irish population were understandably concerned about protecting their families that they forgot the importance of the church. They waved through windows at Easter time to their grandchildren and relinquished loving hugs in the trust that their government were trying to protect them from a serious disease. Well, I think we all know by now that there is no evidence of a serious illness at all, never mind a pandemic. But there are lots of evidence that something sinister is going on. I was in Dublin City yesterday, Saturday, the 14th of November, with my fellow patriots in our regular stance against mask wearing for our children in schools and Ireland's lockdowns. The streets of Dublin were empty of seasonal shoppers because there are no retail shops open and all pubs and restaurants are shut down. The owners of these shops, such as Arnott's, had their beautiful displays of Christmas trees and colourful decorations behind brightly lit windows in the hope that the shopper will support them if their doors ever open. Dublin City Council had their Christmas lights sway in the light wind between buildings down through Henry Street. The huge Christmas tree was awaiting its decoration at the Spire. Moore Street was empty of its usual street traders selling Christmas delights and cheer and corny Santa hats. I felt for a moment that it was obvious trickery from our government in false commitment of Christmas with the lights and no viewers allowed, when it was by their hands that it was being destroyed for all. It was sad to see that the beautiful coffee shops and the bars of Dublin City empty. The normal fast food joints were empty too. I guess if no shops are open and no workers have jobs, well, there aren't people to buy the food or coffee to go for lunches with their friends. It was sad to see no young people meeting their friends in bustling bars jammed to capacity where the Christmas crack should be 90. It was sad to see no one laden down with colourful Christmas gifts that they were so excited to buy, and it gave them that warm, happy feeling that their mom or their sister or their child was going to love that gift, even if one was going to be dead broke after Christmas. It was sad to see the closed down travel agents that only this time last year were lots of people trying to get a bargain Christmas getaway in the sun or the snow. It wouldn't matter because there were lots of happy people traveling too. And of course, the usual family row would happen in every airport, and we all swore we would never go away with friends or family again until New Year came and we booked a bargain summer holiday. It still makes me smile. One of the most crazy family holidays was when all of my sisters, husbands, and kids took our mum and dad to Florida on Aeroflot, a Russian cheap airline. Remember the days when one could smoke on the plane? Well, my dad was puffing his brains out as he had a massive panic attack when the plane began climbing through the clouds. My mom was praying. My sisters were arguing with each other. My dad was sipping the whiskey the air hostess gave him. It was so much fun. We were never going again. Anywhere again with our dad until we did it the next year. I was sad for only a moment though, because as I was greeted, young parents and their children, retired men and women, and others who lost their jobs and businesses under the GPO canopy. I felt everything was going to be okay. There was a warmth in the air. People were in good spirits as we talked about the corruption. I was privileged to be the one that was aware of the devious deeds and frauds being conducted by white-collar men. I said once or more that there were more criminals running our world and our country than those who are locked up for lesser crimes in all our jails, and I marvelled at their audacity to conduct their crimes. The speeches began and the talkers talked lots of positive information and helpful guidelines to help people fight back legally at the system which was breaking all constitutional laws. Suddenly, in our vision, we spotted a large gathering walking down O'Connell Street towards us. They were a group who had been helping the homeless, standing up for them in their quest to have secure homes and shelter. They were clapping as they approached us. Then they came towards us with arms outstretched to hug and shake hands. There were cheers from our side too as we joined together in laughter. It was truly an amazing moment. We were united and we had hope. It was full of love and support. There was no government that could squash us now. There was no evil entity that would quash our Christmas and take Santa from our children, nor try to destroy our festivities. They would not separate us. We are strength together. Inspired by this show of faith, we are launching our own Operation Christmas, where we will have Santa and the gifts for the masses of children, and food and carol singing for us all. We will have Christmas Mass and pray for God's strength in banishing the evil that is awake, walking blatantly on earth. I urge you to do the same in your hometown or your community, whatever country you live in. Find a way. Don't let them take away our faith. Let us spread joy and sing to the heavens as we all unite together in Operation Christmas. And that's from Jean, our good friend Jean. Many of you there in the live chat audience, our good friend Nikki says, yeah, it was a great moment when people walk up. Take photos of this time. Take photos of time from when this is all over. Absolutely. Keith says, Jean is a great listener and her words are so touching. Great idea. Operation Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Operation Christmas. I'll leave the links to all of these articles for those of you watching over on YouTube. As we bring this to an end here, this live version of this thing of ours, I did want to just quickly touch in on some of the headline papers over here in the Republic of Ireland. Starting, let me bring this up for you here again. We just got you got the usual COVID fear sensation, pushing the fear porn straight out. Talking about the pubs being closed down again and funerals warning, and that now COVID is gaining at the RDS, or COVID gain now at a rise. Different headlines, different fear porn situations, and not much distraction, but just keeping all eyes, keeping your attention focused, claiming that it's your fault that the cases are rising, that the infection rate from the cases are on the rise again. So stay indoors, everybody. Don't worry, Amazon will deliver your food and whatever else, whatever other forms of consumerism you wish to partake in. Never mind the small business holder, as their businesses, livelihoods are being destroyed and suicides are on the increase because lockdowns don't work. But our government is telling you it's for your convenience and for your safety. Please remain indoors. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before I let you go, please don't forget, smash that like button while you're over on YouTube. Also, the subscription button, the bell, you'll be reminded of future broadcasts on the Grandstream. Please, if you could, please leave your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comment section down below. We do love to read through them. We are, as you know, demonetized, but we are not demoralized. Thank you to each and every one of you supporting the platform and your continued use of the World Wide Web, grandtrino.ie. Also, links in the description box over on YouTube, how you can support the channel on other avenues. Please, if you could, please consider smashing that like button and pushing us into the recommendation list for other people so that they too can hear the alternative media. And we do have our stale mail, PO Box 13179 in Wicklow, if you're of a mind to reach the mail. And for those of you tried to contact me last week, I will be able to get to the PO Box today and collect some of your great letters and notes and mail. Okay, Nikki. Like I say, thank you all again for your kind words in the live chat there again. I will be off this week, no streaming at all this week, and hopefully I will check in with you again next week. But anything of significant note, I will try and come back and touch in with you again as well. So we keep the faith, keep it up. Everybody keep the chin up, keep putting your best foot forward as we try and endure and keep everything going, and keep rational heads and rational thoughts in our minds going forward. I will speak to you again in the very near future. Take care, each and every one of you, and let's keep this crazy train going. Talk to you all soon. God bless. Take care of each other. Us.